Hey, this is Terry Pugh from Elevated Learning. I want to explain to you what client-server technology is and why it's important. I think in order to understand and appreciate client-server technology, it's good to just take a step back and let's look at the bigger picture that motivated its need. In the early days, within many organizations, programs that were the bread and butter applications like payroll and accounts receivable, they ran on big mainframes and mini computers. There was no electronic communication between the computers at that time, and programs were input using decks of punch cards, and the output was hard copies. So can you imagine? So a little bit of history. In the 70s, a terminal device was added to the fold. Now a form of electronic communication existed with the host. The problem was that the terminal had limited capabilities. The only thing it could do was input data and display the data. Hence, it was called a dumb terminal. It didn't have any processing ability. All the processing was actually still performed on the host computer, the mainframe. Now in comes the 80s. The PC was introduced. It had the ability to share in the processing load of the host computer. The problem was that technology would not allow the developers to take a single program, break up its code, run the components on multiple computers. Everything in terms of processing was still done on the host. In the meantime, programs called software emulators were written and run on the PCs. The PC was then relegated to the position, here we go, of the dumb terminal. It was nothing more than data entry and data display for each program still running on the host. So the question became, how can processing of an application running on the host be shared among all capable processors connected over the network? In come two enabling technologies. The first was local area networking. All types of computers and devices could finally be connected to exchange messages. Well, the second of the two is client-server technology. There are three physical components. You have the client computer, the server, and the network. To have a true client-server relationship now, the network has to be there. The role of the client is a consumer role. It requests a service. The role of the server computer is a provider role. It processes and supplies a service. Finally, the network provides the path to exchange messages used by both of those computers. You can look at client-server technology like a chainsaw. That's my metaphor. It allows developers to cut the logic of a program into three logical divisions. You have the user interface, you have business logic, and then finally you have data management. The user interface, it collects and displays data, and it can also perform some validation. It just depends on what the developers decide based on the needs of that application. Secondly, the business logic transforms data according to an organization's business policies and rules. And finally, the data management layer captures, protects, it allows authorized access to data on a long-term basis. At this point, folks, developers have to figure out which computer will run which parts of the program, with performance and reliability being key goals of the application. In summary, guys, I'm going to introduce you to George. That's the name I give this guy. He looks pretty happy. He might be a little stressed too. He has his cup of coffee. He's using his mobile phone. And let's say George wants to go see one of the most recent movies, Aquaman. And that movie was pretty good, by the way. He opens his browser, enters the name of the movie, presses search, and within seconds, a list of movie theaters on his phone shows up. As you can see, George does look pretty delighted. But this is client-server technology at its best, being able to take a single program that in the past was running solely on one computer and dividing that programming logic up and assigning it or spreading it out to different devices, allowing multiple people across the world to be able to use the same program in whatever way they need. Thank you.